New front, new foe. North Korean soldiers bring unexpected tactics to the Ukrainian battleground. The war in Ukraine has taken a surprising and unexpected turn. Ukrainian soldiers, already battling Russian forces, now face a new adversary, North Korean troops. Their arrival in the Kursk region has added another layer of complexity to the ongoing conflict. These soldiers bring with them a unique set of tactics, honed by decades of isolation and a drastically different military doctrine. The presence of North Korean soldiers has surprised many observers and analysts. It underscores the increasingly global nature of the conflict. Their impact has been felt immediately on the battlefield. Ukrainian soldiers, accustomed to Russian tactics, are now forced to adapt to a new and unpredictable enemy. The arrival of North Korean troops has raised many questions. What motivated their deployment to Ukraine? How will their presence impact the conflict's trajectory and future outcomes? And how prepared are Ukrainian forces to face this unexpected challenge? The coming months will be critical in determining the role North Korean soldiers will play in the Ukrainian war. Their presence adds another layer of unpredictability to an already volatile situation. One thing is certain: the battleground in Ukraine has become a testing ground for different military ideologies and strategies. A different breed. The stark contrast between Russian and North Korean combat styles. The way these two nations approach warfare is a reflection of their unique histories, cultures, and military doctrines. Understanding these differences is crucial for comprehending the dynamics of modern conflicts. The differences between Russian and North Korean soldiers are stark. Russian soldiers are often seen in heavy gear, equipped with advanced technology and weaponry. Their training emphasizes endurance and the ability to operate in harsh conditions. On the other hand, North Korean soldiers are typically outfitted with lighter gear, focusing on mobility and the ability to move quickly and efficiently. Their approaches to warfare stem from distinct military cultures and doctrines. Russian military culture is deeply rooted in the Soviet era, with a focus on large-scale operations and the use of overwhelming force. North Korean military culture, however, is shaped by the country's isolation and the need to defend against perceived threats from more powerful adversaries. Russian forces, often relying on heavy artillery and armored vehicles, prioritize overwhelming firepower. Their strategy is to dominate the battlefield with sheer force, using tanks, artillery, and other heavy weaponry to crush their opponents. This approach is designed to break the enemy's will to fight and achieve a decisive victory. North Korean units, in contrast, favor a more agile and adaptable approach, emphasizing stealth and surprise. Their tactics are designed to exploit weaknesses in the enemy's defenses, using guerrilla warfare and special operations to achieve their objectives. This approach allows them to operate effectively, even with limited resources. This difference is evident in their equipment and tactics. Russian soldiers are equipped with state-of-the-art technology, including advanced communication systems and precision-guided munitions. North Korean soldiers, however, rely on simpler, more rugged equipment that can be easily maintained and operated in the field. Russian troops often rely on tanks and armored personnel carriers. These vehicles provide them with the firepower and protection needed to engage in direct combat with enemy forces. The use of heavy vehicles is a key component of their strategy, allowing them to dominate the battlefield and achieve their objectives. North Korean soldiers, however, are more likely to be seen with lighter weaponry, emphasizing mobility and rapid deployment. Their training focuses on the ability to move quickly and strike unexpectedly, using hit-and-run tactics to disrupt the enemy's operations. This approach allows them to maintain the initiative and keep their opponents off balance. This distinction reflects a fundamental difference in their strategic thinking. Russian military doctrine emphasizes the use of overwhelming force to achieve a decisive victory, while North Korean doctrine focuses on flexibility and adaptability. These differences have a significant impact on how each nation conducts its military operations. Russian doctrine emphasizes attrition, aiming to wear down the enemy through superior firepower. This approach is designed to inflict maximum damage on the enemy's forces, reducing their ability to continue fighting. The use of heavy artillery and other powerful weapons is a key component of this strategy. North Korean tactics, however, focus on infiltration, disruption, and exploiting enemy weaknesses. Their strategy is to avoid direct confrontation with superior forces, instead using stealth and surprise to achieve their objectives. This approach allows them to operate effectively even when outnumbered and outgunned. This difference in approach has significant implications for how the Ukrainian forces must adapt their defenses. Facing Russian forces requires a focus on countering heavy firepower and armored assaults, while facing North Korean forces requires a different set of tactics. Ukrainian soldiers must be prepared to deal with a more unpredictable and agile enemy. The presence of North Korean soldiers introduces a new dynamic to the conflict. Their unique approach to warfare presents a different set of challenges for the Ukrainian forces. Understanding and adapting to these new tactics is crucial for maintaining an effective defense. Ukrainian forces, accustomed to the more predictable nature of Russian warfare, now face an enemy that operates by a different set of rules. This requires a shift in strategy and tactics, as well as a greater emphasis on flexibility and adaptability. The ability to quickly respond to changing conditions on the battlefield is essential for success. This clash of styles will likely define the next chapter of the war in Ukraine. The ability to understand and adapt to these different approaches to warfare will be a key factor in determining the outcome of the conflict. As the situation continues to evolve, the importance of flexibility and adaptability cannot be overstated. Advancing under fire. North Korean soldiers' fearless approach surprises Ukrainian troops. Ukrainian soldiers have been taken aback by the North Koreans' aggressive tactics. The sudden and unexpected nature of these tactics has left many Ukrainian troops scrambling to adapt to this new and formidable adversary. Used to the more cautious approach of Russian forces, they now face an enemy seemingly undeterred by heavy fire. The North Koreans' willingness to charge forward, even in the face of overwhelming odds, marks a stark contrast to the more measured and strategic advances of the Russian military. North Korean soldiers are often ordered to advance, even under intense bombardment, a tactic that has both surprised and unsettled Ukrainian defenders. This relentless forward momentum, regardless of the dangers, has forced Ukrainian forces to rethink their defensive strategies and adapt to a more fluid and unpredictable battlefield. This aggressive posture stems from years of indoctrination and a military culture that prizes self-sacrifice. From a young age, North Korean soldiers are taught that their duty to the state and their commanders is paramount, and that personal safety is secondary to the success of their mission. North Korean soldiers are trained to view retreat as dishonorable and are expected to fight with unwavering loyalty to their commanders. This training instills a sense of duty and fearlessness that is evident in their combat tactics. This mindset creates a formidable opponent on the battlefield. The combination of rigorous training, indoctrination, and a culture of self-sacrifice makes North Korean soldiers a challenging adversary for any military force. The impact of these tactics is undeniable. The aggressive and fearless approach of the North Korean soldiers has left a significant mark on the battlefield, often catching their opponents off guard and forcing them to adapt quickly. Ukrainian soldiers, accustomed to more static lines of engagement, are now facing an enemy that constantly probes for weaknesses and exploits any hesitation. This shift in tactics has required Ukrainian forces to become more agile and responsive, constantly on the lookout for the next wave of attacks. This relentless pressure tests the resolve and adaptability of Ukrainian defenses. The constant threat of aggressive assaults has put Ukrainian soldiers under immense stress, challenging their ability to maintain strong defensive positions. The North Korean approach is not without its risks. The fearless advance under heavy fire can lead to significant casualties, and the high stakes of their tactics mean that any misstep can result in devastating losses. While their fearlessness can be unnerving, it can also lead to heavy casualties. The willingness to push forward regardless of the danger often results in high numbers of wounded and killed, a cost that the North Korean military seems willing to bear. The willingness to accept losses is a calculated gamble, one that relies on the psychological impact of their relentless assaults. The constant pressure and the sight of fearless enemy soldiers can have a demoralizing effect on opposing forces, potentially leading to mistakes and breakdowns in morale. Only time will tell if this strategy will yield decisive results in the long run. The effectiveness of the North Korean approach will depend on their ability to sustain such high-intensity operations and whether their opponents can adapt to counter these aggressive tactics. The battlefield remains a dynamic and unpredictable environment, where the outcomes of these strategies will ultimately be determined. Distraction and deception. Understanding the unique strategies employed by North Korean units. The North Korean military is known for its unconventional and often unpredictable tactics, which have been honed over decades of strategic planning and rigorous training. North Korean soldiers have brought another element to the conflict, a mastery of distraction and deception. These tactics are not just about confusing the enemy, they are about creating a psychological edge that can turn the tide of battle. They utilize these tactics to disorient and confuse their opponents, creating openings for surprise attacks. By using smoke grenades, setting up ambushes, and executing rapid maneuvers, they can create chaos on the battlefield, making it difficult for their enemies to maintain a coherent defense. One moment, Ukrainian forces might be facing a small group of North Korean soldiers, only to find themselves flanked by a larger force that seemingly materialized from thin air. This sudden shift in battlefield dynamics can be overwhelming and often leads to significant tactical advantages for the North Koreans. These tactics are not random, they are deeply ingrained in North Korean military doctrine. The North Korean military places a strong emphasis on the element of surprise and the use of unconventional methods to achieve their objectives. Their soldiers are trained from an early age in the art of camouflage, infiltration, and using the terrain to their advantage. This training ensures that they can move undetected and strike when least expected, leveraging the natural environment to conceal their movements. This emphasis on deception makes them unpredictable and difficult to counter. Their ability to blend into their surroundings and execute complex maneuvers with precision makes them a formidable opponent on any terrain. The use of decoys and feints is another hallmark of North Korean tactics. By creating false targets and simulating attacks, they can mislead their enemies and draw them into traps. They might simulate an attack in one area to draw Ukrainian forces away from their true objective. This diversionary tactic can spread enemy forces thin, making it easier for the North Koreans to achieve their primary goals with minimal resistance. This constant maneuvering keeps their opponents off balance and creates opportunities for decisive strikes. By staying mobile and unpredictable, they can exploit weaknesses in enemy defenses and strike with precision. Ukrainian commanders are now urging their troops to be extra vigilant and to expect the unexpected. They are emphasizing the importance of staying alert and being prepared for sudden changes in the battlefield situation. Identifying and anticipating these deceptive tactics is crucial for countering their effectiveness. Ukrainian forces are being trained to recognize the signs of North Korean strategies and to respond quickly and effectively. The ability to adapt to this new style of warfare might well determine the outcome of future engagements. As both sides continue to evolve their tactics, the battlefield remains a dynamic and unpredictable environment where only the most adaptable